You know, people want to. I got to get. We're looking at ferns. We got to go buy some more ferns. We may do that. Matter of fact, we may go do that tomorrow. Saturday morning, get out there, got to get flower beds together, son. It's all about your flower beds, son. We got 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Is it all about the flower beds? We gotta have a longer conversation about that. I didn't know anything about the flower beds. Daddy, you gotta.
Yeah, you're not there yet. You got to get your flower beds redone. I'm doing all that. Hey, everybody, thank y'all for coming on the call tonight. We're gonna get started right at the top of the hour. Thank y'all so much for coming on the call. If you would like, you can put in the chat, where you're from, what branch of service. Is chat's open? Okay.
Chat is open.
Cool. While I'm talking, I won't be looking at chat. My son will be looking at that. We'll get through with this. We'll answer questions at the end of the presentation. We'll answer questions. So if you got questions about the PACT Act or, what we do in Champions for Veterans, we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the briefing. All right. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Line of departure. Here we go. You'll notice I drank quite a bit of water during my presentation because I got to keep that voice powerful. All right, here we go. All right, under 1 minute.
I'm still at the townhouse with no yard phase, Daddy. So I gotta get to a house with a yard phase before I get into.
Yeah, you got to do that. You're right, son. Now you have a wife. You got to get a yard. That really Americana. You got a wife. Now you got to get a yard. Get out of that townhouse. All right, here we go.
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Gino Johnson, CEO of Champions for Veterans, and I am excited to welcome you to tonight's call. We are excited because this is a public call for folks who are have registered with our Zoom call, as well as those who are on YouTube on our who are subscribed to our YouTube page. So excited to welcome you all to tonight's call. This is a live call, so we're excited about it. But tonight, as you can see, we'll be discussing the PACT Act of 2022. So we're really excited about this. This is a huge endeavor brought by the VA. So really encouraged that the VA is doing this for our veterans. But tell you a little bit about myself, Gino Johnson. Me and my dad started Champions for Veterans back in 2020 because we really are passionate about making sure veterans know the benefits that you deserve and you know how to go about getting them. And so we'll talk more about what we do at Champions for Veterans a little bit later. But as my dad already shared, please post your questions into the chat. He'll be responding to those questions at the end of tonight's call. And if you want to talk more to us, go to www.championsforveterans.com, have a conversation with our team. Thanks so much for joining on. With that, I'll pass over to my dad, Ranger Johnson, to get us started.
Thank you, son. I appreciate that. Hey, everybody, I'm going to jump into it. As my son, Gino, said, I am Ranger Johnson, and I'm going to jump into the PACT Act in just a little bit, but just give you just a brief history about my background. I did 20 years in the Army, went in 1980, retired in 2000 as a first sergeant, and I've been retired now for 23 years. Took me 17 years to get my VA benefits, that is, get to 100%. Served in the U.S. Army Ranger Battalion, 11 years as a Green Beret, Special Forces, and Drill Sergeant Infantry, 120 jumps out of airplanes. And when I retired with degenerative disc L5S1, the VA gave me 10% for tinnitus. Yeah, you heard it right. 10% for tinnitus, nothing about my back. And I basically, started working. The Bible says, be angry, but don't sin. I always like to tell people, I don't believe I ever sinned at the VA, but I'm still angry. Why did it take me 17 years to get what I felt I should have gotten when I retired in 2000? So that journey, because of that journey, my son heard what I was doing, and we ended up starting a company called Champions for Veterans, and we actually help vets get their benefits. And we'll talk about that in the end. But let's jump into the PACT Act. Okay. Uh, if you got any questions, put them in the chat, and at the end, I will get to your questions. So the PACT Act of 2022 was actually effective on October the 1st, 2022. I'm going to read this straight from the VA website. PACT Act is a new law that expands VA health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances. This law helps us provide generations of veterans and survivors with the care and benefits they've earned and deserve. So this briefing tonight is very important because what you're going to learn in the briefing, some vets learn, wait a minute, there are some things that they can get, and it's not going to be as hard for them to get because of different things that the VA has done through this PACT Act. We've already seen veterans getting benefits that normally would have taken them quite a bit of time in our program. All right. What's the PACT Act, and how will it affect my VA benefits and care? Glad you asked that question. All right, here we go. PACT Act is perhaps the largest health care and benefits expansion in VA history. The full name of the law is the Sergeant First Class SFC Heath Robinson, honoring our promise to address comprehensive toxins, PACT Act. The PACT Act will bring these changes, and I'm going to go down these, and I will explain a little bit at a time as I kind of go down them. Okay. Expands and extends eligibility for VA healthcare for veterans with toxic exposure and veterans of the Vietnam, Gulf War, and post 9/11 eras. I'm going to get to some slides that'll go into that a little bit deeper, talk about the areas you were in and things of that nature. Adds more than 20 new presumptive conditions for burn pits and toxic exposures. So I'm going to talk about what presumption is again in the next couple of slides. Basically, this is a great thing because you don't have to fight to prove you got an issue like sinitis or bronchitis, things of that nature. If you are in these areas, the VA automatically presumes you got that condition from that, which is big and helps you get that service connected, and then further helps you go ahead and file for that. We had a veteran Air Force pilot who was at 90%. And because of the PACT Act, he had sinitis for many, many years and the medication and was going to the VA. And no sooner this act came up, he reapplied and he ended up getting, I think, 30% for that. And of course, that pushed him from 90 to 100%. So this is real big, real big. Excuse me, I'm drinking a little water here. All right. So, and adds more presumptive exposure locations for Agent Orange and radiation. You know, with a lot of Vietnam vets, it's been very difficult for those guys to claim Agent Orange. I mean, we work with some. It's been very, very difficult. Now, with the PACT Act, I mean, these are going to be presumptive if you served in certain areas over there. So I just finished working with a Vietnam vet who had some issues, and we just got his benefits up. I can't wait to see what he gets because he was involved with the Agent Orange and had some cancer and things of that nature also. Requires VA to provide a toxic exposure screening to every veteran enrolled in VA health care. So if you're around burn pits, things of that nature, I recommend you go on to va.gov and register for that. And if you go to your VA doctor, you can tell them about that and they'll give you the paperwork and show you how to get registered for that also. Helps the VA improve research, staff, education, and treatment related to toxic exposures. If you're a veteran or survivor, you can file claims now to apply for the PACT Act related benefits. This is so important for spouses of surviving veterans, maybe if the veterans passed away also. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming slides. All right. So, what does it mean? Move my little screen around to have a presumptive condition for toxic exposure. All right, here we go. To get a VA disability rating, your disability must connect to your military service. We call it being service connected. So, for many health conditions, you need to prove that your service caused your condition. So think about this and you'll get more as I read the slide. So when I was dealing with my back and I had 120 jumps out of airplanes, I had to go through all kind of stuff. It was denied, denied, denied. I mean, degenerative disc L5S1, denied, denied, denied. Finally got to 10%. Now I'm at 40% from my back. I mean, it took a long time to get that. What if they would have just presumed that because I was a paratrooper and had over 120 jumps out of airplanes, they would have just said, yeah, you're right. You probably got back, knee, ankle problems like a whole bunch of paratroopers. That would have saved me years. So the presumption, what the VA is doing is taking all that fight out of veterans having to fight and say, man, I got sinuses. I was over in the Gulf War here. I did this. I served there. I got bronchitis. And they're going to say, you're right. You served over there that time right now. We're going to presume it's service connected. Then you get your paperwork together. We help you do that with Champions for Veterans. You apply, and that's going to get service connected. That is huge. Okay. So let me continue down here. But for some conditions, the VA automatically assumes or presumes that your service caused your condition. All right. The VA calls these presumptive conditions, just like I explained. The VA considers a condition presumptive when it's established by law or regulation. If you have a presumptive condition, you don't need to prove that your service caused the condition. You only need to meet the service requirements for the presumption. Service requirements. You have orders. Were you over in that area? Can you prove you were over there in those particular areas? That's how you prove it. This is huge, vets. This is huge. All right. Here we go. Now, these are some cancers. Let me just kind of go over these. This is Gulf War era, post 9/11, veterans eligibility. I got several of these slides. This is slide number 1. So, what burn pit and other toxic exposure conditions are now presumptive. So the law added more than 20 burn pit and other toxic exposure presumptive conditions based on the PACT Act. This change expands benefits to Gulf War era and post 9/11 vets. Now, I'm going to read some of these that I can pronounce and others I won't, okay? So I recommend you screenshot that, veterans, screenshot them, and you can go look at them later on. But think of some of these cancers that are now presumptive, okay? Brain cancer, brain cancer. You got a head cancer of any type, kidney cancer, some of the lymphomas, melanoma, neck cancer. These are different things, reproductive cancer of any kind. So again, screenshot that. You can do a deeper dive on your own and research that, but this is huge for the veterans because now you can just say, hey, I was over in these areas. You got a doctor's report that says you have this cancer. You get your paperwork in. It's presumed that boom, 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 it's already going to be service connected because you're over there in these areas that we're talking about in a minute. That's huge. This can save you years of heartache. Gulf War era and post 9/11 veteran eligibility. Okay. These illnesses are now presumptive. This is huge. Asthma that was diagnosed after service. So let's say you served in one of the areas that we're going to talk about. You've been out of the military for a while, but that asthma, now you start with this asthma. but you know you served in those areas. Man, wow, now you can get that presumptive service connected. Look at this, chronic bronchitis, chronic rhinitis. What about sinusitis? We just, again, an Air Force pilot who flew over the area had been dealing with this for years, okay? And he didn't have a rating on it. And when the PACT Act came out in October 2022, he applied, boom, 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 had everything, documentation together, and he got 30% for sinusitis. And guess what? That moved him from 90 to 100%. Emphysema, all these different things. So again, take a screenshot of that, and that's going to be good for you to have. And down the road, do a deeper dive into that. All right, here we go. Gulf War era and post 9/11 veteran eligibility. If moving these little things around on my screen, here we go. Now, if you served in any of these locations and time periods, the VA determined that you had exposure to burn pits or other toxins. The VA calls this having a presumption of exposure. Back in the day, guys, this was a struggle to even get your benefits because, you know, you had to go through so much to even prove you were around the toxins, all this kind of stuff. So on or after September 11, 2001, in any of these locations, Afghanistan, Djibouti, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Uzbekistan, Yemen, even the airspace above any of these locations. Again, I keep referring back to the Air Force vet, the Air Force pilot in our course, in our program, who now is at 100% because he flew over these areas and he was dealing with sinus issues. Get any questions you got, put them in the chat, and afterwards we'll get to your questions. Thank you so much. All right, Gulf War era and post 9/11 veteran eligibility. Here we go. On or after August the 2nd, 1990, in any of these locations. You see them: Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, UAE, or the airspace above. Again, you know, you can screenshot a picture of that, do further research, or you can contact us at Champions for Veterans, and we'd be more than happy to help you move your case forward. All right. Am I eligible for free VA care as a post 9/11 combat vet? The VA is extending and expanding VA health care eligibility based on the PACT Act. The VA encourages you to apply no matter your separation date. Your eligibility depends on your service history and other factors. If you meet the requirements listed here, you can get free VA health care for any conditions related to your service for up to 10 years from the date of your most recent discharge or separation. You can also enroll at any time during this period and get any care you need, but you may owe a copay for some cares. So, you know, if you're sitting there and you don't have a rating or you're not service connected with that issue, you may owe a copay. That's why we tell vets, say, go after your benefits so you can get what you deserve, and that will bypass, you won't have to get these copay things, you know, when you get that stuff service connected. Okay. There are other details that qualify you for these benefits. Please go to va.gov/PACT. All right, here we go. More details. Vietnam era veterans. All right. So based on the PACT Act, the VA added 2 Agent Orange presumptive conditions. And this is huge. High blood pressure. Again, just finished working with a Vietnam vet who has high blood pressure. And I'm excited to see what he gets once he gets everything back from the VA. I am not going to even come close to trying to say this word right here. I don't know. I was listening to lawyers chop it up, and I know I can't. Yeah, MGUS. Look that up. If you got that, definitely this is one of the things that's presumptive. Okay, if you think you're eligible for the VA health care and benefits, the VA encourages you to apply now. All right. Vietnam era veterans eligibility, too. All right. And I won't go over these dates. I want you to screenshot that, but I just read a few things and talk about it. Okay. The VA added 5 new locations to the list of presumptive locations. And take a look at this. These are areas sometimes where there were different things stored in some of these places. So take a picture of that. If you served on active duty in any of these locations, the VA automatically assumes or presumes that you had exposure to Agent Orange. This is real big. You may have a father or uncle or cousin that's a little bit older. You know, those Vietnam guys are getting up in their 70s and higher now. You may want to just screenshot that and tell them about that. You can send them towards Champions for Veterans also. But here you go. All right. Get a drink while you take a screenshot of that one. All right, here we go. All right, Vietnam era eligibility 3, third screen. Here we go. What new radiation presumptive locations will the VA add? All right, or have they added? All right, so radiation, basically there was some planes that went down with nuclear things on them and they had to get them cleaned up. All right, they were carrying nuclear bombs or storage in certain areas, and these a lot of vets may not fit in this category for that, but some could. So again, you can take a screenshot of that, and if you took part in any of these efforts, the VA automatically assumes or presumes that you had exposure to radiation. Big, big, big that you take a look at that. All right. Can veteran survivors get compensation payments under the PACT Act? Yes, they can. If you're a surviving family member of a veteran, you may be eligible for these benefits. This is big time. A monthly VA dependency and indemnity compensation, VA DIC payment. You may qualify if you were the surviving spouse, dependent child, or parent of a veteran who died, this is big, vets, from a service-connected disability. All right, let me take a little time and jump in and explain that paragraph. So let's say I'm one of those vets. I was over in Vietnam. I got cancer. And say I'm 100% for other reasons other than the cancer. But the cancer kills me, and I was never service connected for Agent Orange for cancer. And on my death certificate, it says, yeah, he died of cancer, but he wasn't service connected. That you're not going to get paid that. So when we're dealing with veterans, we always tell vets in our program, any issue that you feel, if you can get a drink, any issue that you feel should get service connected, continue on and get that service connected, even if you are 100%. Okay, because if you die from that, like those veterans we showed, the Vietnam vets, hypertension, right? So Vietnam vet, he might be at 100% for other reasons, but he doesn't have his hypertension service connected. He dies from a heart attack. hypertension, which is caused by that, his spouse could not collect on this. So just read the fine print and understand you need to get your issue service connected. Other things that you can get a one-time accrued benefit payment. You may qualify if you're the surviving spouse, dependent child, or dependent parent of a veteran who owed unpaid benefits, who we owed unpaid benefits at the time of their death. So also a survivor's pension. You may qualify if you're the surviving spouse or child of a veteran with wartime service. So this is very important to take a look at. Again, do a deeper dive into that. Also, you can contact us at championsforveterans.com. Be more than happy to help you. PACT Act additional information. All right. This is a new law that, again, it came into effect 1 October 2022. It's going to affect 3.5 to 5 million veterans. This is a $300 billion law. It's a huge win, vets. This is a huge one. Up top is actually the VA website. If you want to sit there and read that through the PACT Act, please do. It showed if people were terminal ill, homeless, or under extreme financial hardship over the age of 85. Before this came out, they were saying you need to get up there ASAP. But still, if you're in a tough condition, financially homeless, man, get some help. You can contact us. We'll definitely help you also. But start moving through and getting these benefits. All right. Who are we in Champions for Veterans? Glad you asked. How we help? We have an online program called the Ranger Method that gives you the tools you need to get the rating you've earned. We have coaching and a veteran community. Winning statement templates. You can go to www.championsforveterans. You can screenshot that.com. Click the link in the description below. Okay. Once you go to this website, you click that link and schedule a free consultation, right? So we have qualified veterans on board to talk to you about your case, to help get you moving. All right. So this completes our slides, and I'm going to stop the slideshow here. And well, let me just go up to the chat. If you got a question, I'm going to leave that up for a minute. I'm going to go to the chat here and see. Oh, he put that calendar. Thank you, son. Yeah, you can click on that. Okay. Hey, at this time, vets, before we close out the call, I want you to get a chance to get any questions answered that you might have. Please feel free to put those in the chat right now. Any questions that you might have. All right, Juan. Hey, hello. All right, Juan, glad to have you. Hey, anybody else, any questions before we close out the call tonight? Again, we are champions for veterans. What we do is help vets get the benefits they deserve from the VA. I'm Ranger Johnson. My son Gino is the CEO. Please go to that calendar link right there, save that, and get some time. Okay, don't look like we have any questions tonight. So I'm getting ready, going once, going twice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close out the webinar. All right, son, did I miss anything, or you want to say anything before I close it out?
No, I think you definitely hit on the high points. I mean, this is definitely a huge thing. We're excited to be able to, share these insights about the PACT Act. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure we encourage folks to go after your benefits. And at Champions for Veterans, we just want to make sure you know what all the benefits you are earned. Not only the PACT Act benefits, but really any particular rating that you deserve, or any other financial, medical benefits that you may have earned based on your military service. So please schedule time with us. Looks like we may have a question.
All right. I applied under the PACT Act. I'm going to read this because I'm a slow reader. Just stay with me. I applied under the PACT Act that I was on Guam during the time indicated, actually still live on Guam. The VA sent paperwork asking when I was in Vietnam and what or my problems as a result? Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you get people up there at the VA like that. What I tell people all the time, Monty, is go back in there again. Different people look at it. I would reapply. I would reapply. Okay. So don't let that stop you. Y'all hear me? When you're dealing with the VA, sometimes you get different people. The same person you probably won't get when you call back up there or when that paperwork goes back up there. Do not let that stop you. If you got issues, you can definitely reapply. Okay, I feel it out starting. I applied from Guam. So why? I feel Yeah, Guam was one of the issues. Guam was one of the issues on there. I'm not quite understanding. I filled it out. I applied for Guam. Yeah, exactly. I got you. Why they asking about Vietnam? I get it, man. I can't answer for them, brother. I can't answer for them. Okay. Let me get to the next question from Juan. All right. I'm currently rated 80% pending some secondary claims. Is it okay to go through the PACT Act? If you had issues with the PACT Act, you can. If your paperwork's already up there and you got a claim going through, what I always recommend to our vets in our course is let everything settle out before you start applying for other things. So if everything is finished and then you got some PACT Act issues, like we had that pilot, with his sinus issues, everything was cleared. He went up and put that in. He got to 100% because of that, because he got 30% for sinuses. So, that's I always kind of give those recommendations to guys. You can do whatever you want on a course, but let everything go through, and if you do have PACT Act issues, boom, absolutely jump on top of that. Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, hey, vets out there, anybody else, man? Anybody else? Any questions tonight? Okay. Hey, thank y'all for sending these questions in. We want to be here and be able to help you. Again, you can click the link, schedule time with one of our veteran coaches. All right, son, I think we're pretty much done right now. All right. No more questions. All right, good deal. All right, everybody. Hey, I got to finish the call like I always do. Hold on a minute. Get my screen looking good. I got to finish the call like I always do. This is Ranger Johnson. How do you? Get my drink. Hold on.